Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out why European and American trucks are so different, like semi-trucks is what we're talking about. So I know I don't know how they call it in like mainland Europe or whatever, but I do know that in like Britain or whatever, they call them lorries. I do know that. I was watching a show called like Shipping Wars or whatever, and then I was watching the Shipping Wars UK version, and then I realized they're calling them lorries, and I'm like, what is that? Like, you know what I mean? What does that mean? It sounds weird to me. We call them semis. But anyway, yeah, so obviously the shapes are different. Ours are built for long hauls. There's a lot of like cab space in there with a bed area, like a little miniature apartment in the back. In Europe, they don't have as much long haul transports, I don't think. So their trucks aren't necessarily made for that. They don't have the necessity. That's about all I know, right? So we're going to find out why, what the actual differences are. And the channel's called Trucktopia, so make sure you check that out. There will be a link in the description section down below for that. So let's just jump into it and see what it's all about.
Why European and American trucks are so different. American and European semi-trucks are very different. In America, you see all the trucks with a long nose and wheelbase with the cabin behind the engine, whereas trucks in Europe are cab-over trucks where the cabin is above the engine. But why are they so different, and what are the advantages and disadvantages? Let's take a look at it. Livable. One of the reasons why the American trucks have bigger cabs is that owner-operators are very common in the US and not so much in Europe. These people...
Okay, so owner-operators. I see. So the people that buy their own trucks, they own their own business, they can do that more because okay, I see.
Own their trucks and pretty much live in them for months at a time. Because they spend so much time, and some have to live in the cabin, these cabins are quite a bit larger and have more features in the cabin, such as a fridge, microwave, freezer, wardrobe, large bed, windows, and some even have their own toilet.
So it's like a giant RV or something, like a camper in a way. Not giant, but like a small camper, but in a giant vehicle, you know what I mean?
Owners modify their trucks to include huge living compartments, something not so common in Europe. It is, of course, also possible to spend several days in a truck with a cab over, but the comfort is just not nearly as high. Long, wide roads. Much of an American truck's life is spent on the interstate system, where the lanes are wide and the roads are straight.
Yeah.
For that reason, the long wheelbase of the truck is acceptable and typically makes the ride much more comfortable, considering they are allowed to drive up to 12 hours every 24 hours.
You know what gets me though? Sometimes you'll have the semis, they'll go into the middle of the cities, the middle of the towns, and they get in these small little roads, and then they have to take such a wide turn to even turn anywhere. And then you're stuck there and there's a semi coming towards you and you gotta like hit reverse and go backwards so that he doesn't smash into the front of your vehicle when it happens. And sometimes it can be annoying, just saying. You probably don't have to worry about that so much in Europe. I don't know for sure.
Whereas European truckers can only drive 9 hours, that extra comfort is important. European semi-trucks are lighter and have shorter wheelbases, which makes them significantly easier to maneuver. Essentially, they are more compact and easier to work with in traffic and urban environments, which is perfect for the narrow roads in Europe. Also, the cab-over has a better overview and less blind spots, which increase safety noticeably.
I can see that, yeah, because you're like so much higher up than everybody else, so yeah.
Where the larger bonnets and A-pillars on the American trucks make it difficult for drivers to get a clear view of traffic.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Strict regulations. Stricter regulations in Europe make for different trucks. For starters, a European semi-truck can only be 18.75 meters, or about 61 feet. Some countries have some exceptions, but generally that is the rule. Because of these restrictions, European trucks have to be as short as possible so they can tow more cargo. Considering American cabs can be 20 feet long, that only leaves 40 feet of room for cargo. So, in order to make more room for cargo, the cab has to be as short as possible. Similar
makes sense.
requirements in the US have been revoked back in 1986, and trucks now can be much longer. Actually, back in the day, cab-over trucks were quite popular in the US, but without strict limitations, roomier and more convenient to live with conventional design trucks prevailed. Speed and aerodynamics. A big difference between the European semi-trucks and American ones is that in Europe,
Yeah, I bet ours are more aerodynamic though, because they're not so flat in the front. They have like that more of a curved back. So you probably get a little bit more efficiency. You know what I mean?
speed is limited to 90 kilometers per hour, but in some
56,
places in the US, trucks are allowed to reach 129 and even 137 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
It is on the long straight roads, at high speed, the better aerodynamics and longer wheelbase is a clear advantage for the long-nosed trucks, which are created for the long trips.
So they do have better aerodynamics.
Conclusion. So, the reason why there is such a big difference between trucks in Europe compared to America is that they are used in different ways. There are different rules that must be observed, both in terms of speed, driving time, lengths, weight, etc. And that there is a big difference between roads and the infrastructure. So, one is not necessarily better than the other, but they are adapted to the needs of truck owners, the driver.
It depends on what you're using it for, if it's better. If you're in a smaller spot, then the European one's better. If you're trying to go for aerodynamics and comfort, the American one's bigger or better, you know what I mean? So I guess it is so for each specific use case scenario.
And the government requirements. Which is your favorite? Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for much more.
Which one, guys? Which one's your favorite? Let me know down below. That was a pretty interesting video. If you have anything else similar to this, let me know down below, or jump on the Discord section. We got like a video suggestions area on the Discord server. There's links down below for that and everything. Links to support the channel and all that stuff. There's a link to the website. You can go buy you like a cool little t-shirt or coffee cup. That'd be pretty sweet. Be another way to support the channel and get a little cool t-shirt out of it. But anyways, let me know which one is your favorite. Why do you like it? You know, and all that good stuff. And have a super fun, awesome day. And I'll catch you in the next one. All right, take care.